nanoHUB.org.
Online simulation and more for nanotechnology.
So thank you all for joining today. For those who don't know me, my name is Jennifer Bayerlein. I am a AAAS Science and Technology Policy Fellow working here in the ERC program at NSF. And from my observations during my time at the NSF, I saw several opportunities for collaboration sites and group sites to be used for a variety of internal and external ERC activities. ERCs develop course modules that you want to disseminate more broadly. Different officers' positions within the ERCs interact with their counterparts at other ERCs to share best practices and organize retreats. There are professional development activities and training activities that are organized within ERCs that they would like to share with other ERCs to reach a wider audience. So, one avenue for doing that is available to ERCs to have this type of collaboration is nanoHUB.org. To help those who are new to nanoHUB and to increase awareness of the type of activities you can do on nanoHUB, I have invited Tanya Faltens and others from nanoHUB to demonstrate some use cases and functionality of their group collaboration pages. Tanya will have some examples to show everyone, and there will be plenty of opportunity to ask questions. Please feel free to jump in with any questions you may have. This should be an interactive meeting. And given the different applications that these group pages can have, this meeting has been advertised to ERC Center Directors, Education Directors, Diversity and Inclusion Directors, the Student Leadership Council. So we have a wide group of people attending with varied interests. So I hope that this demonstration and the discussion today will help spur some ideas on how you can enhance your interactions within your ERC and connect to other ERCs and learn best practices and activities. With that, I will turn the screen over to Tanya to share what she has prepared, and I will pass the baton.
Great. So I thought I would start off with an overview of some of the things I'm going to cover today. So we're going to be going over some of the features and functionality in nanoHUB groups. They are all self-serve and customizable. So when you're a group manager, you can go in and change many aspects of the group yourself. You don't have to contact someone from nanoHUB to do that for you. And I'm going to show you within the ERC education group some of these things, member roles and messaging. I have a group that I'm running right now with our summer research students, and I can show you what we've been doing with the forum discussions and wikis and projects and with our calendar. So if you are an ERC member, you might already be in this group, ERC student group. I'm going to click the link to go to that group. And since I'm a group manager, I have a slightly different view than you might have. Everyone who's a member of the group will see a button here. If you're not a member, that's where you would click to request to join the group, and you can type in a little explanation of why you should be in the group. And then as a group manager, this little drop-down window gives you access to some features, inviting new members, managing group pages. Those are the main ones. Most of the rest of what's in the group, you can see whether or not you're a manager. So I thought I would start off by going over what we see when we look at the list of members. Okay, so we can see that there are 14 people who have joined the group so far, and there's Jen, and you can see the other people, and you can see pretty clearly which people are managers. We also have another nanoHUB staff person who's also a manager to help organize things at the moment. And then next to each person here, you see that there is an option to assign a role. Okay, and so being a manager or not a manager, that's separate from these roles that are assigned. And in fact, most of the time I use the roles basically as labels. so I know who's who. So some of the roles that we've created so far are SLC members, current ERC students, ERC alumni, but that may not cover everybody in the group. So it's actually really easy to add a role. So I'm scrolling up to the top of the page and clicking on this button to add a member role. And for example, I call myself NCN staff. So I'm going to just add that role and submit it. And then let's add a role for Jen. I'm going to add a member role. Click the button. And I'm going to call this NSF. And submit. Okay. So now you can see on the right-hand side the different member roles include NCN staff and NSF. And then it's really as easy as clicking on this button to assign a role. People can actually have multiple roles. So if Jen were also one of the other roles, you could assign more than one. And I don't know everyone here, so I just will do the couple people that I do know and add NCN staff and assign a role. And I know Jared is NCN staff. So this will help you when you come into the group to know who is in an ERC, who has other roles, who are students, who are faculty, and anyone who's a group manager can add or delete these roles. Now, one of the functionalities or one of the reasons these roles are nice, not only for figuring out who people are when you come in here, is if I want to send a message. So I can send a message to all group members, or I could just send them to certain roles. So maybe I just want to send a message to the NSF people. And it's as simple as that. Notice that I didn't need to know Jen's email address. I just need to be able to find her in nanoHUB in this group and send the message, and that should show up on her desktop if she has set up her mail to do that. When you have, suppose you get to hundreds of members and you want to send a message to all of the students, that would be a really convenient way of doing this. There are also some other ways to message more people. So this is more like an email. You can send individual messages, or you can send messages to all members of a role. There's also a function called announcements. And so if you want to post something in the group, you could click on the button to post an announcement. Type in whatever you want to say for your announcement. You can set a window with start and end times. And then there are some options here. So you can have this just be a silent announcement that exists as soon as people log into the group. There will be a banner across the top of the page. You can check the box so that everyone in the group gets an email message that has the same content as what you've typed in the box. You can change the colors to make some announcements higher priority. And a sticky announcement would not go away. So every time you log into the group, you would see that announcement still there. So those are other ways that you can contact all the members of the group at different levels. Okay. Now, in the group, there's also a discussion forum. Since your group is not yet set up, let me go back to the PowerPoint. Since your group is just starting and you have a few pages, but not too many pages and not much content yet, I'm going to let you peek into my NCN undergraduate research. Okay. Now, you won't be able to follow this link because this particular group is for the summer students and their mentors, and so other people can't access it. But we've been using the group forum a lot. So in the group, when you look down this menu on the left-hand side of the page, you can find a button here that you can click to get to the forum. But everything in nanoHUB has a URL. There's a link to it. So if you know the link to the group, group/NCNURE 2018, and then the forum, you can get straight here to this top page. So some of the things we've done with this are to do introductions. We have a lot of students, and it's hard to keep track of who is who, so we can see the students, click on what they've said, and then you can see a link to their nanoHUB profile, and then whatever they've said in their introduction. And you can always have a conversation, just as with other discussion forums. You can add more responses and have a conversation. Another thing we've used the forum for is to ask questions about publishing simulation tools in nanoHUB. So I hope I'm not going too fast. I have their homework assignments, and then here we have queries to the Hub 0 team. And this is where we have some people monitoring the forum, and whenever students have questions, they can post them immediately. So some of the students are trying to do fancy things with their simulation tools, and they're, like, here's one that looks like there's been a lot of back and forth. So we can take a look at the original question. So he's trying to figure out how to submit jobs to a supercomputing cluster, et cetera, et cetera. And then pretty quickly, one of the members of the Hub 0 team can come back with a response and so forth. And the way we've set up our forum is so that all of the content is emailed out to everyone so that we can all benefit from the questions that are asked. Now, there might be times when you want to have a conversation or share information but not have all that email go out, or maybe you don't want to receive email for a while. And in your nanoHUB profile, you can go into your settings to turn that off. But what else? Another thing we've done here for our summer group, let me come back to the PowerPoint for a moment, is use the Wiki. So with the Wiki, that's another way that you can share information, and email doesn't automatically get sent out to everyone, or there's no easy way to send email out to everyone when you edit or add things to a wiki. So it's a little bit quieter. And the wikis have some nice features. So in a wiki, you can track all of the changes over time, and you can have multiple authors in a wiki, and if something went wrong, you can roll it back a few versions to a place that you liked. And also there's a mechanism for commenting on wikis. So how did I get out of here? Let me go back to my group here. And I'm going to just change this URL from forum to wiki. There are multiple ways you can get around, but that's just to illustrate that everything in nanoHUB, pretty much everything, has a URL. So if you know the URL, you can go straight there. You can always look for the page. And right now, we've just started using the wiki, the set of wiki pages, to collect student homework. So here are their elevator pitches. I asked them to type them up and submit them. And you can see that this is just a simple list. There are student names, and it's really easy to attach files. And these files are just resources that they've uploaded into this group, and we can access them through this wiki page. And if I were to click on one of them, it would just be a simple file download, and I would save that somewhere, and then be able to open it up. Okay, so it's a really easy way of sharing content. Now, also in a wiki page, the way that each student adds their content is by going to this editing button. So click on edit. Did I click? Let me try that again. Here we go. And then now I have a slightly different view. So you need to know something about wiki formatting to add the files and so forth. I made a little instructional video for the students that most of them were able to follow. It is possible to just share text. If you want to add files, there's this easy click or drop file place. You would just click and then search on your local computer for the file that you want to upload, and that's pretty simple. And then once you have the file uploaded, you would just use one of these formats to include the file in the wiki page. There are also a few built-in formatting sort of help icons here. So, for example, if I wanted to add an embedded file right here, that sets up the template, and all I would have to do is replace the file.doc up here with one of the file names. These are all the different files that people have uploaded so far. So I could just pick any of these, cut and paste into where it said file.doc. I'm just Control-C, Control-V, and then you always have to remember to save. You can also preview, but I'm going to just save this. And then you can see that that file is now uploaded into the group. So some of the research groups here on campus have used Wikis for years and years, and they just have long-running lists with everyone's research updates and so forth, going on and on and on, and it's really easy to find. Of course, you can have multiple wiki pages. Let me go back to this main wiki page for this group, and you can see all the different groups we have here. And so if you have different categories, you can just make additional wiki pages. And I'm like blanking out for a second. It's really easy to add. I think there's just a button on the top here, create a new article. So it's not a plus button like the other ones, but it's just a really simple link that you click and then fill in the title and then start typing in your wiki formatted text or your text. So I can just say test here, and even plain text works okay. So it won't, you won't have lots of nice features like bullet points and special formatting. But if you just wanted to take notes, you can get it'll show up okay. Now, wiki pages also allow commenting. So some people in the past have created wiki pages that were instructional. So they are teaching all about, I don't know, nanotransistors. And then people can add comments to the, through this functionality. So there's ratings, and you can just also have comments which can be like a conversation. And the comments can go back and forth between different members and the owners of the wiki page. So that's another way that you can get feedback. Let's see here. I just made this page, so there aren't many versions. Let me go back to our main wiki. I'm just going to navigate through the URL. And let's take a look at this elevator pitches page. I bet there are a lot of revisions there because every student had to revise the page. So now if I click on this history button and take a look, we can see that there have been 29 versions. And you can see who made the revision. There's a timestamp. And if you want to do a comparison, I have to admit I don't play with this too often because I'm always afraid I'll go back when I don't want to. But there's some nice formatting. So you can see, like, oh, this is what Kevin did. He changed this, and there's the new content, and there's the old content. So that might, Wikis, the formatting can throw some people at first, but there are just a few things that if you know how to do, it becomes really easy and convenient to use the wikis. And then, the commenting, we might play with this year to see if commenting might help for students to give feedback to other students about their content. We haven't done that before. We've used the forums in the past, but that's another thing you could consider. Oh, and by the way, if you have questions, just ask them as I go, if you like. Let's see, so the forum, the wikis. And then I want to present the idea that we can have a group of groups because there are lots and lots of ERCs, and we have an education page that's formatted as a group of groups. And instead of having, let's say, all of the ERCs listed in a long, infinite list that just goes off, you have to scroll forever to get there, you might consider a different layout, such as a table, the way we've done it with our education page. So what I'm going to do is scroll down in this page to this area, the Learn About area. And each of these topics here is laid out in a grid. There's some sort of icon that helps describe what the area is, and there's a text link. And each of these is something clickable. And it's just a link to the group. So this is an array or a table of groups. And let's take a look at the material science group, for example. So from the education page, I can just click back to material science. And then you can see how this is laid out with content for courses, simulation tools, and so forth. And again, you can see the members. You can go through the forum, etc. Now, I think somewhere in this group on the main page, I just put in a link saying, basically, go back to where you started. So I added this in here. Go to the education page. And so by remembering that everything in nanoHUB is linked, you can link to it somehow, you can just insert these links into your pages to help you navigate around. So here we are back at the education page. And if I didn't want to see material science, but I wanted to know about nanophotonics instead, I could, take a look there. And on all of these pages, we have some link going back to the education page, because we want people, when they stumble upon one of these pages, to know there's something else to look at. So you might consider that. So a big page of all the ERCs, and maybe if each ERC had a link where you can go back to the main page of all the ERCs, it might function in a similar way. Okay. Let's see. Oh, and here is an example of an ERC that has a group. And what they've done, and if you go to this link, so it's /group/assist, since I'm a group manager, you might see things slightly differently than I do. But they have primarily used their group to publish a course, an online course that they use, which is this E304 Introduction to Nanoscience and Technology. So this overview page that you see for the group is basically an HTML page that you can build as you like. There's a lot of built-in formatting options for text and so forth in nanoHUB, or you can just take your own HTML code and stick it in there. Also, in a group, one of the options is see all of the resources that are associated with the group. So I'll go there and try to explain how this works. So in nanoHUB, we have a lot of online simulation tools, lectures, etc. And each person can have multiple resources. But in this case, we have Susan, we have Mehmet, we have some other people. There are some resources without names. But all of these resources are part of this course, this Introduction to Nanoscience and Technology. But they all appear here because each one of these has been associated with the assist group. So let's say I were just to, actually not click on her name, but if I click on the resource, so here's a lecture on piezoelectrics, and there's information. You can see how many people have accessed the resource. We keep nice stats for all of the nanoHUB content. But you can also see that it's associated with this group. And so I can click on that link to come back to the group. So if I just found one lecture, by following the link that appears at the side of the lecture, I can come back and find out that there's a whole lot more associated with it. So let me go down to the resources and show you. Sorry if I'm going too fast here. Let me click on this one here. There we go. I found a particular lecture that was missing this. We'll have to fix that. So this resource that I found, lecture 1.1.1, is associated with the assist group, which I showed you, but it's also part of a course. And so there's this little message here, see also E304. And so when I click on that, it'll show me the whole list of all of the content associated with it. So there are numerous lectures, and some of them have videos. Most of them have some kind of notes you can download. The ones that have videos, you can watch it in nanoHUB or watch it on YouTube. So if you're producing your elevator pitches, if you want to publish those, if you have some course content or other material from your ERCs, and you could either publish them as individual resources, or you could make a series or a course that bundles together a lot of different types of content so that it's easily found and it's easy to scroll through it. Okay, let me come back to the PowerPoint. I think that might be...
Can you show us some of the options for group calendars, inviting to WebEx forums?
Yes, thank you. I was thinking, I know there's something I missed saying in here, and let me come back to my group, and I'm going to just come back up to the main page. Sorry about that.
No, that's fine.
I must have slipped putting that into my PowerPoint. So here's our overview page, and the groups have a lot of built-in functionality. So let me just describe first. At the top on the left, all of these are HTML pages that I have added into the group. The only page that starts out in the beginning is this overview. And then below that, there are a lot of functionalities that you can, they're all there, they all exist, but you can turn them on or turn them off, and you can decide who has access to these. So you can see the latest activity that's happened. So for example, it'll say that Tanya did all these things here and other people have done things, and you can see that history. But here is the built-in calendar. And this is actually kind of, bare bones calendar. You can, let's see, I'll just click on an item. You can see the details. You can put, what is the event, etc. You can download it to put it into your own calendar. And it's pretty easy to add new events to the calendar. So here at the top, if you're in the calendar area, anyone, actually I should double check, group managers can add new events by just clicking on that button. And then that gives you an easy to fill in template where you put in the title, the details, and then the dates where you want it to show up in your calendar. Now, we were playing with that this summer, and I set up a bunch of recurring events. So every Wednesday at noon, we have a series. But next, well, in a couple of weeks, one of the Wednesdays is going to be the 4th of July. So let's go back to our calendar here. And let's see. There's June, here's July, and I don't want students to think they have to show up for this seminar on the 4th of July. But one of the drawbacks of the current nanoHUB calendar is if you set up a series, you can't edit individual events. It's just the whole series or not a series. So you could add these in one at a time and take them out. Or what we're playing with now is another option, which is to create an HTML page, which I called calendar. And then what I did was linked in a Google Calendar. So that has a little bit more flexibility. And some people use Google Calendars normally, so they can actually have their own personal calendars linked into here. But because of the way the nanoHUB pages are set up, it's really easy to just drop this into your group. And so this is just a little bit more flexible. So let's just take a look. Here's June. Let's go to July. And here, there's no lunch and learn seminar, there's no office hours, and I put in a little note that says it's a holiday. Okay, so I think realistically, depending on how much stuff you have going on in your calendar, you might want to embed your external calendar, but you can always use the one that's in nanoHUB. There's also, so this is a calendar that lives within this particular group. There's also an overall nanoHUB calendar that works the same way. But if you have an event that you want anyone in the nanoHUB community to participate in, you can post that in the nanoHUB calendar. Do you know the link? Is it?
I think it's under community.
Community
events.
Events. Okay. Under community, did I click? Let me try that again. So I think we just didn't have a lot going on in June, but you can see some of the past events that were there. That just happened a couple weeks ago. So that's a nice way if you want to advertise and get more people to participate. So let me go to the ERC group again. ERC students. And I'm going to show you how you turn on and off some of these functionalities. If you're a group manager, you'll see this little white downward arrow. And if you hover over that, you'll get these options. And so one of the options is to edit the group settings. So I just clicked on that. And now we can see that there's a title. And you can edit this. That's something that isn't stuck. If you want to add tags, you can change the tags. What you can't change is the URL, ERC_students. That's stuck. But this other title that shows up at the top of the page here, you could instantaneously change that if you thought of a more clever name. You can upload any image you like. And then of all the images, we only have one right now, and that's the logo. But if you had another logo at some point, you can upload that one. And then here's where you specify who can access the group. So for some groups, like the materials group, I made it open. Anyone just clicks on a button to request group membership, and they're automatically accepted. But for a group like this, it's restricted. So you would click on the button to request group membership, and then one of the group managers would review your request and decide for each person yes or no to allow them into the group. And those are the two options I usually use. There are some other options here. If you make it closed, nobody can ask to join. And you can also click on this option to just send an email to someone, and then they can follow a link in the email to join the group, but that's the only way they can. In nanoHUB, not all of the groups are visible, so you can be visible or you can be hidden. However, if you have a hidden group, even if you send someone a link to ask them to join the group, they won't be able to find it. You can only see a hidden group if you're already in a group. So I usually leave the groups visible, but I lock down a lot of the sections. So here are the permissions for each of these tabs. So right now, the overview section, and in fact, all of the HTML pages are only available to registered Hub users. I could make it available to group members only, as simple as a click and then save. That's something you would just decide on. But sometimes in the overview, you want to have some kind of description so that people know what the group is about. If you do lock it down, there is a place up here where you can put a public description. I believe they'll still see this description even if the group is closed. But right now, we have a much larger description that's available. Okay, sorry. So that's the overview page. If you want to share the members list, we could hide the members list. I think people in your group would want to see other members, so you can only see the members if you are a group member. The announcements only go to group members. And then the blog is just disabled or off. So I'm going to open, you know what, I'm going to open this group in another tab just to show you that when we scroll down the left sidebar here, members, announcements, calendar, collections, forum, where was the blog? There is no blog. It's just not showing up at all. And let's say that I want to turn off the collection. I could do that as well. And let's say I wanted to turn off the wiki. And then if I saved it, and if I go back to this view and refresh, then the wiki is gone. All those things that I've turned off are now gone. So if these are items that you don't use and you don't want to have your page look so crowded, you can just turn these items off. And then you can turn them on again. It's as easy as clicking and saving. So I'm going back to the edit group settings. And let's see. Okay. Oh, yeah, you know, I did forget to show you something. So I was going to tell you about group projects as well. And so right now, only group members can see the group project. And okay, here are the group email settings. So I have it set up so that whenever anyone posts something in a discussion board, they'll get an email. But if you think people don't want the email, you could uncheck that. People can also individually uncheck the settings in their own nanoHUB profile page. And then there's some other options for groups. And again, if you want to make any of the changes stick, remember to save the group. Yeah, let me close some of these windows and come back to our project. Let me see which group am I in here. Yep. All right. So here are our projects. And in addition to the forum for asking questions and the wiki for sort of communicating and sharing files, another way to share files is through projects. And this is a really nice way of organizing material, but not having it, they're sort of, I don't want to use siloed, but they're contained. And so what we've done here is you can see that each project has selected group members. Not everybody has access to all of the projects. So let's just take a look. Something has happened recently in computational catalysis. So if we go in there, we can see that in a project we have an updates area. So you can see the latest things that have happened. So here he's uploaded a PowerPoint and a couple more files. And you can see like back when the project was created and so forth. You can see the team members. So this project just has 5 team members. And in this case, it's the student, it is the faculty advisor, the grad student, and then the 2, me and our TA, just so we can kind of monitor what students have done. If we want to take a look at the files here, we see that there's a folder system, and so there's a place for background, a place for updates. If we take a look at the background files, so here are some papers that the grad students said would be useful for getting started. So something about DFT for surface chemistry and something else computational. And they're also using this for the update. And so for the regular group meetings, week 2, week 3, week 4, you can come in and just take a quick look. At their weekly status update. And so it's a really nice way of sharing material with other people who are either members of the group or not members of the group. Let me come out of this. So let me...
This seems like a good option for research projects, as well as if you're working together on planning an event or a supplemental proposal or something like that.
Yes. In fact, we have used projects for putting together like all of our documents as we try to write grant proposals and so forth. So some other faculty and I have done that. Let me go to the ERC page, because I was going to, okay, so in the ERC page, let's come down here to projects, and there aren't any projects yet, but it's really easy to set up a project. Do you know how to make this go away? I don't know if everyone sees it or just reading.
Yeah, I see that.
Okay, so they're just, so there's no project yet, but it's really easy to add a project because there's a button, and you just click the button, and we have to first name the project. Would you like to volunteer? We can, it's actually hard to get rid of a project, so, well, it's not too hard. We'll just email Jared and he can delete it. But give me a test name to use. ERC, what? Party planning? No, event
SLC planning. Retreat. SLC Retreat.
SLC Retreat. Okay. And then you can describe the project. A great upcoming event. I'll just put in something little. Okay. And then you can decide here, do you want people to find the project, or do you really want it to be hidden so no one knows that this even exists in nanoHUB? If you have an image. You could upload an image and add that to your project. And if not, you can do it later. So for now, I'm going to save and continue. And then here's an important place. This is where you add the team members. And since I started out in a group and then created the project from within the group, one option is to include all the group members. But sometimes you don't want all of the group members in a project. So for example, with my summer undergraduate students, I have all the faculty, all the grad students, all the undergrads. And if one undergrad makes a project, I don't want all the faculty to be a member of that project, just the faculty advisor of that specific project. And so what you can do is click on Specify Membership. And now you can click on the button to select members for the group. And this makes it easy. You don't have to know how to spell their name. You don't have to know their email. You just look like who should be in the project. Oh, Andrea, Eduardo, Jared. And you can change this later. You just, pick some people. Oops, I'm having trouble scrolling for some reason. And then hit the button. And those team members have been added. Oh yeah, there's also a button here. They've all been added as collaborators. There are some other roles, reviewers or managers that you could choose as well. But collaborator is, a pretty good role for anyone that you want to actually let them add content to the project. Now, let me just see. You can also look for people who aren't in the group. So in our room here, Lowell Williams is in the room, but he's not in the group, but I can still add him to this project. So I just typed in his name. I know he's part of nanoHUB. So now when I come in and I look at the list of members, there's Lowell, and everyone else was a member of the group. Okay, so let's say that we're done with that. Let's see. I think we're ready. I'm just looking for the next button. Dum, dum, dum. Sometimes I have a hard time finding things.
It's hard to see it.
It's like all the way at the bottom. Here we go. Save all and continue. There's usually a button somewhere. So now here's a project. If we had a logo, it would have appeared here, and you can still add it. So if you find a picture you like now, you can add it. You can start sharing files, etc. You can invite new people to join. You can see who's in the team. And then there's this new feature, a nice feature I haven't shown you, which is the to-do list. So you can just say, set the agenda. And I'm going to assign this. I didn't invite Jen. Oh, well, Eduardo. And I can put in a due date. Like, oh, I want it tomorrow, or I want it Saturday. And I can save it. And then we can see the to-do list. Wait, hold on. We can comment on them. So let's see. Right now it's just this one item, but if we had more items, order lunch. Oh, let's have Andrea order lunch. And we'll do that at another date. Sorry for going so fast. And I can add comment, ask for dietary restriction. Can add a comment there. So now let me go to the top level of the to-do list. And we can see that we've got 2 items so far. And if I wonder, did anyone tell me to do anything, I can click on my to-do items. And, oh, look, I don't have any to-do items. That's great. If there were anything that that I've completed or that has been completed, I can see those. Or we can just see everything that's not yet been done. And then by clicking on these little numbers, you can actually see what the comments are. And the comments, I think, are a really rich area that's available for putting in a lot more detail. So what shows up in the sticky note might be really, really short, and then you can put in a lot more comments because these pop open once you click on the item. So the to-do items are kind of nice, and you can actually have multiple to-do lists if you want. So if you don't have some other project management software that you're already using, this is this is a really nice feature that you can use. There's file sharing within the projects. As I showed you, it's easy to upload files, to create folders. Let's see. The notes, I think these are wiki formatted notes with a slightly different interface, I think. Oh, maybe it's the same. You can just type in here. I often keep like meeting notes. So June, what is it, 19? 2019, 2018. You'd probably have more interesting meeting notes. We can save it. And all of your notes will end up appearing in a list down the side so that it's easy to access them. And again, you can, like for other wiki pages, you can add comments. And if that's something that's useful, and you can also come back. Let me just check here. So when I will admit that there are lots and lots of features in nanoHUB, and sometimes I lose track a little bit. So this is a wiki page, but, oh, here it is. It's like the buttons are different, but I think here's where you can see the versions. Okay, you just have to look around. It's there somewhere. And we just have the one version now. But if multiple people went in to edit these notes, you can see the different versions if you wanted to go back and fix something or check on something that had been changed. Jen, were there some other items that I accidentally skipped?
I think that gives a good flavor for what you can do on the nanoHUB group pages. Does anybody who's been listening in have any questions? You can chime in. You can send a comment if you would rather have that. And if we're not acknowledging you, you may be on mute, or we may just not be hearing you. So please feel free to send a chat note or check your mute to see if we can hear you.
Hi, can we access this later on if you want to share this with other people in our center?
I will be sending around this webinar. It's been recording. Tanya, do you have any problems with me sharing your slides?
Oh, no, that's fine. That's what I intended. Oh, and by the way, now that I'm back on your front page, I made a page here for webinars if you want to share information with other people. Here is all the information on accessing this webinar. I might go into an infinite loop if I click on this because I'm already in the meeting. But yeah, all the stuff is right there. And so that's another really easy way to share content with everybody. An announcement could have gone out saying, come to the group, click on the webinar at this time, and there it is.
So, exactly. So anybody who received an invite to the webinar, I will forward along the recording along with the slide attachments, and you're free to send that to anybody in your group that you think might find this useful.
Oh, you know what? I did probably have one more slide at the end, which I should leave up here longer. Is that I'm here to help you. So if you want to set up your own ERC group, or if you just want to get help setting up a page within one of the existing ERC groups, or like we have ERC Education, ERC Diversity, ERC Students, and if whoever becomes a group manager for one of those, if you want some help, I'm ready and willing to help.
Any other questions? It's been a lot to take in, I'm sure. Okay, unless there are any other questions, I'd like to thank Tanya for her time and putting together all this information, and I hope it has given you some ideas of things you can do, whether organizing your own research projects, collaborating with other centers in the ERC program. And please reach out with any questions to me, to Tanya, and anybody else in the ERC program.